Well, hello there, and welcome to the Good Old Days of Radio show. This is John Tifteller, your host, and we are almost finished with our 10-week salute to Norman Corwin. We have one more, a very special one for the next show. On Thursday, you're going to have a long one. It's going to be a 2-hour plus Pacific Pioneer Broadcasters luncheon honoring Norman Corwin with a bunch of other radio folk on it. But for today, we're going to take you back to August 19th, 1945. Now, this is the commemorative occasion for VE and VJ Day. Has to do with the dropping of the atomic bomb on Japan. You're going to hear Orson Welles and Olivia de Havilland read some interesting writings by Norman Corwin. The title of it is God and Uranium, so it does have a religious bent to it, and it does have a atomic bomb element to it. It's actually a very interesting program, very well done, as Norman Corwin and Orson Welles are the top of their fields, so it's a good one. But be forewarned, if you have PTSD or something like that, you may not want to continue on with this particular episode. So here we go. From August 19th, 1945, God and Uranium.
The Radio Reader's Digest, usually presented at this time, will not be heard tonight because of the special program which follows immediately.
This day is the father of great anniversaries. Men and saints shall picnic together down more years than you or I shall ever see. So say it tonight with saluting guns. Say it with roses. Say it with a hand clasp, a drink, a prayer. Say it any way you want, but say it! Say it!
The Columbia Broadcasting System presents a special program entitled God and Uranium, a reprise of the commemorative writings of Norman Corwin on the occasions of VE and VJ Days, spoken for us on this day of prayer by Olivia de Havilland and Orson Welles.
Congratulations for being alive and listening. Millions didn't make it. They died before their time, and they are gone and gone, for the fascists got them. They are not here, but their acts are here, and they are to be saluted from the lips and from the hearts before the conversation drifts around to reconversion. Fire a cannon to their everlasting memory. God and uranium were on our side. The wrath of the atom fell like a commandment, and the very planet quivered with implications. Tokyo Rose was hung over from the news next day, and the emperor prayed to himself for succor. So sound the guns for Achilles the atom and the war workers, Newton and Galileo, Curie and Einstein, the Archangel Gabriel, and the community of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. The good book says it. The good book has it all down there somewhere, if you look for it. Listen to the good book talking of the Mikado and the Führer.
Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? How hath the oppressor ceased? The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the ruler. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the great facts of the matter is that the people have come a long way since we were tadpoles. Much has happened, and the upward path has been strewn with dinosaurs, tigers, Caesars, slave traders, and fascists, in spite of which, as you heard on the radio earlier this week, the best in the way of flags is flying over the once mighty lands of the enemy, and free men are being born on schedule. New free men, conceived December last during a counter-offensive against their elders in the Ardennes, are tonight breathing and kicking and making fists, are heirs to victory. Whereas the saber-toothed tiger is nicely arranged with fish fossils in the museum, and Caesar is twice hacked to pieces by his countrymen, the second time strung up by the heels to cure. The trader in slaves cannot buy back his name from the contempt of the generations, and the Nazi is parted from his pomp and his Führer, pending announcement of the hanging day. The Jap, who never lost a war, has lost a world, learning at what cost to us all that crime does not pay. This, too, is worth a cheer.
I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The Lord is a man of war. Thy right hand, O Lord, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. And in the greatness of thine excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sentest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble.
Tomorrow will be time enough for humility. Tonight, we count our trophies. Footprints and gun tracks going from Berlin to Warsaw to Stalingrad, to Warsaw to Berlin, bloodiest round trip in history. Frettings and stammerings on the Tokyo radio, trying to save a face that is lost forever. Pearl Harbor, well remembered and avenged, and avenged, and again avenged!
Praise ye the Lord for the avenging of Israel, when the people willingly offered themselves. Praise ye the Lord for the avenging of Israel.
August 14 August, to the gun turret and the turret lathe, and both stand still, and their masters stop to wipe away the sweat of winning. 14 August, to the tractor in the wheat field, and the farmhand who heard the news from Washington on the local wavelength a few hours back. 14 August, to the flag on Suribachi, and to Colin Kelly's boy, and Maya Levin's mother. The bones of the expendables of Corregidor stir imperceptibly on 14 August. 14 August, Chinese time, to the bridge at Mukden, where the Japanese crossed over into war some 14 years ago. 14 August to the blood brothers of Stalingrad, their armies lately a burning wind across the plains of Manchuria. 14 August to the mending wounds among the hospitals, and to the barracks bags, and to the bunks and flight decks. Now homecoming. Now the dog tag exchanged for the name again. They will converge from outlandish zones of time, from secret somewheres known alone to postmasters. Beaches without beachheads. Jabs without sergeants. The men who tilted guns of battleships and stoked them in epic battle will ride the level ferries of bay and river. The tankman will drive a powered lawnmower while his father watches. The pilot with many missions will do errands for some civilian company, and the bombardier who crushed a city in a blinding instant will help his wife dry dishes in the kitchen sink. But peace is no dull enterprise this time. It will be armed and vigilant, not languid and flabby. The degenerate years of rigged markets, of apples selling on the corner, of produce plowed under, of the bread line, are old ghosts, well laid. What God and laboratory hath wrought, conserve those who have served. The agitated atom would rather build a city than destroy one, and the jet plane carry passengers to mild appointments. 14 August is 14 August to 500 United Nations, the greatest of which has fought too well ever to fall apart.
And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more.
Listeners, on 19 August 1945, size up the latest news bulletins against the morbid yesterdays of Warsaw and Pearl Harbor, fallen Paris, and the Blitz on London. Weigh Potsdam against Munich carefully, removing from the balance the millions who shall walk no more. Sketch in the dates and happenings from textbooks and from memory, and draw your own conclusions. Are we agreed? Are we agreed that all is one? Unless we believe this and accept the word of Gettysburg and San Francisco, there will be blood on every map again, and the improved atomic bomb. Are we agreed the world's a single continent? If not, prepare for the descent again to caves and sewers. Are we agreed that mountains made of faith are not to be moved? That freedom is an endless river, jealous of its tributaries, fertilizing the country through which it flows? Yea, study the time we live in. It will do us good. Peace, its care and handling, became our homework, effective 15 August. Take a look around at all the evidence. discounting the enemy's unwitting friends among the colonists right here at home. March 14, match with the gloomy prophecies that went before, and do your own research. Come to your conclusions, and go from there to help a single world. There is no discharge from the war. We are on probation only, every one of us. Henceforward, we must do a little civil thinking every day, and not pass up the front page for the sports page as we did before. Vigilance pays interest and compounds into peace, whereas bland unconcern and the appeasing cheek draw blitzkrieg as a lightning rod attracts a thunderbolt. A little civil thinking every day. That is the homework, yes, shooting our mouths off against the bad appointment and the shoddy referendum, storming the redoubts of the local Schickelgruber, voting in season, and demanding of our representatives that they be representative. Do you wish to make Isaiah's prophecy come true?
Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more.
We can help him if we understand one thing, that peace is never granted outright. It is lent and leased. We can win a war today and lose a peace tomorrow, win in the field and lose in the forum. Peace has a mind of its own and doesn't follow victory around. What was 2/3 finished in Germany isn't 3/3 finished in Japan. As a homely maxim says it better.
The duration's going to be a lot longer than the war, Governor.
You can make war quickly, but you can make peace slowly. It takes a second to break a peace, but a long time to put it together again. There are some records in Washington say it better.
Congress took only 8 minutes to declare war on Germany. And in the same session, it took only 5 minutes to declare war on Japan. But between this war and the last one, the world took 20 years trying to declare peace, and then couldn't do it.
Listen, to win is great. To learn from winning, greater. But to put the lessons learnt from winning hard to work, that is the neatest trick of all.
How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace, that bringeth good tidings of good. Break forth into joy, sing together, ye waste places, for the Lord hath comforted his people. The Lord hath made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all nations.
Say it tonight with saluting guns, with psalms, with champagne and with laughter. But also remember the fields beyond, and the names and faces beyond. It is worth noting and remembering that here in this August, the grass is hearty, the sky friendly, the wind in the windsock, birds are competitive, the hills of home are in their accustomed places, and all is accounted for. All is accounted for, except the farmer's boy, and the mill hand who lived near the canal, and the young men from the city block, where the gutters fry in summer. One lies with an ocean across his chest at the bottom of an Arctic deep. Another sleeps with sand in his eyes, where he fell on a beach in Palau. The bones of the fishermen rest in clay, far from the rocks of Maine. And the miner's kid is under the ground of China. The cricket sings in the summer night, but the soda clerk says nothing. The fawn leaps in the wolf-proof wood, but jungle roots twine the postman's feet. The turtle is young at 61, but the flyer is dead at 18. Remember them when July comes round, and the shimmer of noon excites the locusts, when the pretty girls bounce as they walk in the park, and the moth is in love with a 60-watt bulb, and the tar on the road is blistered. They've given their noons to their country. They've trusted their girls to you. They are face to face with an ally's earth for a bunch of tomorrows. Remember them in the fall of the year, when frost airbrushes the withering leaf, and the silo is fat as a bearing woman, and the cleats of the backfield dig up gains to the praise of the stadium, when the number 1 goose says it's time to go, and the flock points a V to the south. They've given their seed to 48 states, their football tickets to you. The shirt on their back is a worm-cut rag for a bunch of tomorrows. Remember them in the sleeting months, when the sap stands cold in the veins of the tree, and the bottle of milk on the frozen door stoop raises its cap to the morning, when the skating girls eddy like snow on the rink, and the storm window hooked on the prairie farmhouse mutters in the gale out of Idaho. They've spilled hot blood for the rights of men, for people the likes of you, and they ask that we do not fail them again in the days we are coming to.
Lay wreaths for the dead, while still the victory is green and fresh. One for the unknown boy of Arlington, and another for the unknown boy of a cemetery far from Arlington. Lay wreaths for the airmen who left their mark in the air, and the merchant sailor who went down burning in a winter sea, and the Marine who fell never to rise on the ash of Iwo, and the chaplains 3 who linked their arms and sang a hymn as the ship slid under. Lay wreaths for the little and the lost and unremembered, for the bombed ones and the refugees strafed on the road, while still the victory is green and fresh. Lay wreaths for the starved ones and the tortured, and those concentrated in the camps. Lay a wreath for the smiling face and the laughing name of Major Bong, for the Soviet partisan Zoya, who was hanged by invaders, for Paddy Finucane, who crashed inside his hallowed Spitfire, for Chinese pilots scattered far among the crags and precipices of the Himalayas. For the gentleman from Indiana, to whom it seemed one world. For the foot soldiers who bled red on the green grass of Normandy. For privates anonymous, and sailors, and ordinary seamen, and for their commander-in-chief. On that day, there was a black border on the battle maps. The word went up and down the line. It was transmitted and received on walkie-talkies, told to crews of Shermans and B-25s, sounded on the ship's loudspeakers, the bare metallic announcement spilling into the sea wind. The camp assembly stood with bowed head on the desert. The sentry on the lone Alaskan highway post walked lonelier. The chief was no more. It was known that day in the Asias, major and minor, and among the Africans. The Black Sea fishermen who saw him pass their way murmured and wondered amid the heroic ruins of their peninsula. There were 12 cars in the train. At stops along its northward way, the Scotty was taken off for exercise. The people wept. There was organ music on the radio. The sky gloomed above the ritual at the grave, pointedly at the very hour, busy April taking time out to mourn him, like the rest of us. And a wreath for the boy you knew. And a wreath for the girl you knew. And a wreath for Ernie on EA. And a wreath for generals who died out of bed and on battlefields. And a wreath for non-coms. And a wreath for dog faces. And a wreath for Willie. And a wreath for Joe. While still the victory is fresh.
Lord God of trajectory and blast, whose terrible sword has laid open the serpent so it withers in the sun for the just to see. Sheathe now the swift avenging blade with the names of nations writ on it, and assist in the preparation of the plowshares. Lord God of fresh bread and tranquil mornings, who walks in the circuit of heaven among the worthy, deliver notice to the fallen young men. The tokens of orange juice and a whole egg appear now before the hungry children, that night again falls cooling on the earth as quietly as when it leaves your hand. That freedom has withstood the tyrant like a Malta in a hostile sea, and that the soul of man is surely a Sevastopol which goes down hard and leaps from ruin quickly. Lord God of the topcoat and the living wage, who has spurred the fox against the time of winter, and stored provender of bees in summer's brightest places, do bring sweet influences to bear upon the assembly line. Accept the smoke of the mill town among the accredited clouds of the sky. Fend from the wind with a house and a hedge him whom you made in your image, and permit him to pick of the tree and the flock, that he may eat today without fear of tomorrow, and clothe himself with dignity in December. Lord God of test tube and blueprint, who jointed molecules of dust and shook them till their name was Adam, who taught worms and stars how they could live together, appear now among the parliaments of conquerors and give instructions to their schemes. Measure out new liberties, so none shall suffer for his father's color, or the credo of his choice. Post proofs that brotherhood is not so wild a dream as those who profit by postponing it. Pretend. Sit at the treaty table and convey the hopes of little peoples through expected straits, and press into the final seal, a sign that peace will come for longer than posterities can see ahead, that man unto his fellow man shall be a friend forever.
You have been listening to Olivia de Havilland and Orson Welles in a reprise of the commemorative writings of Norman Corwin on the occasions of VE and VJ days. The music was conducted by Lud Gluskin.
Due to the preceding special broadcast, the Radio Reader's Digest was not presented tonight. Radio Reader's Digest will be heard over most of these stations next Sunday at its regularly scheduled time.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
All right, absolutely brilliant writing by Norman Corwin. You can see why he was called the boy genius and poet laureate of CBS. Quite a heavy-duty broadcast. I guess I'll let you have your own conclusions about the political aspects of that. But that was where the country was in 1945 as they were wrapping up. We were wrapping up World War II. That was the thoughts, that was the feelings of the majority of Americans back then. And it's interesting to compare that with what people would say about that very same type of thing in today's world. And I'll leave that for you to figure out for yourself. But you probably were thinking some of those things as you were listening to this. All right, that is the Good Old Days of Radio show for today. We have one more tribute to Norman Corwin coming next week. Well, not next week, coming on Thursday. A special, quite lengthy broadcast of Pacific Pioneer Broadcasters Luncheon honoring Norman Corwin in 1974. And I'll tell you more about that on Thursday when we get ready to play it. So until then, this is John Teftiller in the Good Old Days of Radio show. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.